Okay, welcome to another episode of Fossiliferous. Yorkshire Fossil Festival's going on at the moment. Before I go there though, I thought I'd do a bit of a hunt. I've come to one of the more remote places and I'm going to explore the Pliensbachian and Tuarcian boundary a little bit more. So Yorkshire has a number of ages of rock. So we're in the Mesozoic, the Jurassic, and then there's 4 stages. There's a Haithangian, which you tend to find up at Redcar, Sinemurian, which is Redcar, Robin Hood's Bay. There's then the Pliensbachian, which crops out Kettleness, Robin Hood's Bay, and a few other spots as well. And the Tuarcian, which is where you find all the dacks and hildies that everyone sees. So we're going to look at the boundary between the Tuarcian and the upper Pliensbachian, and the different species that are in there. So you can obviously find stuff all over. Doesn't matter what area you look at. Obviously the cliffs are going to have all the liasin upwards of what's in the base beds, but where we're looking, the base beds will be first of all Tuarcian and then upper Pliensbachian. So lots of different species we might find. However, it's summer, it's a lovely day, the days are very long, so obviously more people come fossil collecting. So we might not find loads today, but it's going to be a lovely day out. Hopefully I can show you some of the fossils and some of the wonderful scenery that we have in Yorkshire. So without further ado, let's go. First things first, we've got to negotiate this this lovely rope. So I'm glad it's nice and dry today, so pretty straightforward, but yeah, it gets pretty steep, and if it does rain, it gets very trippy, very slippy and treacherous. You can see it's high tide still. It's been quite a decent sized tide today. So yeah, so down the rope we go. Let's hope we can go find some fossils. Okay, first sign of an ammonite. Nice negative. See, it's a fresh one out of the cliff. So it will be probably a Dactylioceras. So we're in the Tuarcian at the moment, so each large segment of time that I can't remember the name of is divided into zones, and they're named after a specific ammonite, and then each of those zones has subzones as well. So this comes from the Bifrons subzone, which is named after the Hildoceras bifrons. That's the ammonite that marks this time period, and in there Dactylioceras are one of the more common ammonites, and depending on whether that's the commune or athleticum, that will be the subzone that they come from. So yeah, interesting stuff. So we can tell it's summer because there's little piles of broken ammonites everywhere. It is something us fossil collectors tend to do. We don't like to just chuck them back in the sea, we like to leave them on rocks for people to find. Not that many people are going to pick these up this far away from any civilization. But yeah, lots of broken ones, which means we've obviously not had much sea to wash them away. We're still quite high up from sea level, to be fair here, but yeah, always worth checking these little nooks and crannies because sometimes you do find stuff. It's going up this little waterfall. It's totally dried out. That's a big snail. Wow. Totally dried out. Normally this is flowing with water, but you can tell it's been dry. Again, not always a good sign for fossil hunting when it's been dry, because once the cliffs dry out you do get a little bit of material falling, but it's the rain that tends to do the damage. So first bit of rain after a dry spell can be quite good, but we'll just have to see. Says me. Ooh, just laid there in the stream bed. Look at that, what a lovely dac. So first dac of the day, and it's a good one, and I think I promised this to Mr. Fossil Swede, because you're unlucky bloke, but twice now you've come second in my competitions, so I think you deserve a runners up prize. So that is a lovely dac, absolutely lovely dac. It's a big, nice big sized one as well. So yeah, that's your runners up prize in the bag. There is a nodule here as well, look, you see in the shale. Wonder if that's got anything in it. Oh, I can see a duck keel there. Ooh, that looks interesting. Right, might have to get my chisel and hammer out. It's so soft. The good thing about the dry weather is it does dry out the shale. Oh, it's already breaking. That's not a good sign, particularly. It looks like quite a flat nodule. Look at that. There's more in this. Let's get this bit out first. Quite a few shells in this piece. You can see some little ovum shells, they're called, or nut shells. Always a good sign when you start seeing those for the fossils. So yeah, there is an ammonite in there. However, looking at that rock, I don't think it'll be very well preserved. So I think that one is probably one that we'll leave here. Another nodule there, but yeah, again, it's a bit flat, you know. So if you see a keel sticking out, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, there is a keel sticking out of that one, and that may all be there, but chances are it isn't. Just from experience. Quite a few nodules in this piece of shell. They're all a bit odd. Oh, there we go, that's a bit better. Look at that. Whoa. That bit off. So that is a Perinoceros. You can see there we've got some spines. Lovely. Should come out quite nice, that one. Excellent. That one looks empty, I'm not going to bash that further. Yeah, not bad. Not a bad start at all. I'm wondering whether I should have a bit more of a look in the rest of this rock. I think it might be wedged. It is a loose boulder, so we are allowed to give it a bash. Oh, there we go. No. Empty. Oh yeah, 2 finds in the bag. So it's the first time I've been able to go up here and not get wet, so I've had a look under the waterfall and found this lovely nice big fat nodule. Look at that, bit of thickness on it is always a good sign. So there may or may not be anything in this one. You're going to have to give it a smack. Oh, it's gone already, and yeah, empty. Oh well, can't win them all. Alright, so we made it to the next bay, and yeah, we've still got a few remnants of ammonites around. So far 2 in the bag. We've got a Dactylioceras, probably athleticum, and a Perinoceros, and that does tell you that or where that dropped out of is getting near the top of the Bifron zone. So athleticum, Dactylioceras come after commune in the lias, and it's theorised that Perinoceras are basically a spiny dac. So they evolved from another species of dac, which is Dactylioceras praepositum. I can never say that right, but yeah, there's a good chance that Perinoceras evolved from Dactylioceras. So like I say, we're still in the upper part of the Bifrons at the moment. Oh, they look like duckies. That one is gone. There's one in there, but again, right on the edge, so I don't think it's all there. Nodule there though. Nothing in that one. much here at the moment, so we'll go on to the next bit. So, lots of signs there's been collectors. It's summer, so expected. Little erosion, more people means less fossils, so yeah, nothing in this bay at the moment. You can see though there's lots and lots of shale ready to go. The cliffs aren't very high here, but yeah, you can see there's plenty of shale, which is, you know, it does happen in summer, but quite often the fossils get buried in the shale and you can't really find them. And that's where, when it comes to winter, the tides tend to reach the base of the cliff and wash out the shale. Nothing in that one. So yeah, fortunately it needs a pretty good tide. There's signs of them, you can see plenty of imprints, all interesting. Yeah, it needs a good tide to reach all the way up here. So nice bit of wind, a bit of a storm. Yeah, plenty of debris. Not sure what that is. Could be a bit of a lobster actually, but quite possibly. So yeah, onwards to the next bay. It's certainly toasty today. There's an imprint of a bit of Phylloceros. Quite common to see these. These were really big ammonites. So that's just a piece of the outer shell impression. The theory that Phylloceros were possibly a deep water species, and that must occasionally have washed in. They obviously grew a lot bigger than the ammonites that we generally find, but yeah, it's always nice to find one. Getting a complete one is on my list because I've only got a 3/4 of a one so far. But yeah, you don't seem to see them that often. Sad an ammonite in, but it's gone. Yeah, people quite often post fragments of Phylloceros on the Facebook forums for identification. It's rare you find a whole one. Again, that's had one in. You can see the cross section. Might have a nice middle. Have a little bash, I guess. I'll just see there, looks quite water worn. See if we can get this little middle out. There you go. So you can see, nice little middle. Not going to take that, to be honest, it's too small for anything I can use, but yeah, nice to see them. Again, another fragment there. So, be a bit of a cliff fall. Again, why you stay away from the cliffs. Doesn't look a lot, but yeah, enough to hurt you. Fortunately, I have found this big nodule. Just sat down here. Ah, look at that. That has to have an hildy in it. Has to. Little nutshell on there. It's a beauty, innit? Look at that. I'll be most surprised if this does not have a Hildoceros ammonite inside of it. So I'm going to open this very, very carefully. Could be empty. I don't think it will be. You never know. Look at that. Would you believe it? Totally empty. So I've just been collecting up some likely nodules. Not showing, give it a tap. Again, not showing, give it a tap. Not showing, give it a tap. Again. No, showing, give it a tap. That one's got part of an elegantissimus in it, so again, give it a tap, see what happens. Look at these beasties, baby brother. Oh, perfect. And then look at this. That's a big dack. Wow, look at that. That's all there. I reckon the mouth border's about there, so yeah, 4 and a bit inches. Wow. Find them all day long. Look at that. It's a bit different. Oh, what's that? Could be a pseudo. Could be nailed it. I think it's got a chunk missing there, so I'm going to give it a little tap. Split. Wash in the water. There we go. Building. Oh, it's still a lovely day in some ways. I'm hoping I'm going to be in the shade for a little bit shortly, because it is extremely toasty, which does bring me on to the topic of safe and responsible collecting. Coming into summer, lots of people, some of you included, might want to do some fossil hunting, but yeah, it's really important that you are aware of the dangers of fossil hunting on the Yorkshire coast. Number one being the tides, because actually the tides are probably the most dangerous thing we have. If you don't look at the tide times, you will get cut off, and you will probably have to phone the Coast Guard if you can get a phone signal. In a lot of places there is no phone signal, so yeah, you're going to be a bit stuck. I'm just going to split this Perinoceros because it looks like it isn't all there. No, I was right, it wasn't all there. Unfortunately, it's all warm this side, so yeah, worth a tap just in case. So yeah, number one danger, the tides, so be really careful. Number two danger is the cliffs. They can come down at any moment without warning. So when you look over there, you can see there's overhangs, lots and lots of loose blocks. Wouldn't take an awfully big chunk of rock to potentially kill you. So yeah, you need to be really careful when you're going anywhere near the cliffs. Ideally don't. Yeah, there's certain places where the cliffs aren't as high, probably a little safer. There's certain places where I won't go within 100 yards of, because they're coming down all the time. And yeah, all it takes is that one rock. And some of these, when they do go, they go with a bang, and there can be thousands of tons of rock come down. We have the hard sandstone layer, the dogger layer, at the top of our cliffs, and that tends to keep everything in place, while the soft shales erode out eventually when one of those goes. You know, you're talking thousands of tons. So yeah, stay away from the cliffs. Make sure you're aware of where you are on the beach. Next is the rocks. So you'll often see me skipping over rocks like that. They sometimes move, so yeah, always have your balance. Make sure you get your hands free if you need to. I wear super track boot spikes, which helps on the slippy seaweed. Even then, they don't always help if you get some of the brown stuff. When it's decayed, it can be slippier than ice. So yeah, make sure you've got fairly steady footing. Yeah, quite easy to slip and potentially snap an ankle. So yeah, if you're going out somewhere, especially quite remote without a phone signal, make sure that somebody knows where you are and when you're likely to be coming back, so they can come and find you. Because some of these places you might not get found for days, especially in winter. Yeah, lastly, yeah, just a bit of come prepared. So hot day like today, it's quite likely you're going to get dehydrated. So yeah, make sure you bring some water with you. You might want some sun cream, you might want some food, you could even bring a first aid kit. But yeah, water I'd say is the most essential thing. Right, so we've come down the Lias and still see some dacks in the shale there, but they're a bit more rare now. So we've come out with the Bifron zone and we've gone lower into the Falciferum zone, which is the jet rock. Now this is a different set of ammonites completely, and different preservation, whereas you get the nice little nodules with dacks in. Generally these nodules are pyrite coated with different species of ammonite in. So this is where we find, so we're at the top of the jet rock at the moment, this is where we find Harpocerus species, Clavicerus, then Eleganticerus near the bottom of the jet rock, and you do find some interesting sort of dack species. You get the grass isles, quite a few other bits and pieces, and you get Nodicoloscerus sometimes in the nodules as well, which are the fat style ammonites or depressed whirl variants. So yeah, and finds, you know, just to say we're in this zone doesn't mean we can't find anything higher up the Lias, because that could have dropped out of the cliff. So you know, you can find dacks and things here, but they will definitely have fallen out of the cliff. Certainly you won't find anything in situ. So always good to have a look, see what's in the pebbles. Oh, looks like a dack to me. Quite worn, but it is a dack. I'm staying away from the cliffs today because there's plenty of tinkle coming down, as is such when it's dry weather. There's been a dack in that one, but it's worn away. There we go, look, some jet rock nodules, you can see there, but don't dig these out. Look for ones that have come out already or in fallen blocks of shale. Ideally you don't dig into the bedrock, especially when it's an SSI or triple SI. A small one in it, I think. Yeah, there is one in that. It's quite small, but I'll give it a tap. You never know. But I don't think it'll be a good one. No, not a good one at all. Yeah, well, it is always disappointing when you break an ammonite, but that wasn't going to be the best ever specimen. So if I knew there was something in there and it was a good specimen, then yeah, be in the bag. Right, some interesting jet rock nodules now. I think these might be the pseudo-vertebrae, although I think they get bigger. We are in the upper beds, so you can see how they're formed within the shale. Nice big ones there. I don't know quite how you'd manage if you saw one with a Harpocerus sticking out. Yeah, that'd be quite tempting, but Yep, leave it alone. We'll carry on looking. Well, that would have been a big one. I think that would have been a Hildoceras Lusitanicum, which is one of the early Hildies before the Bifrons. Wow, it's certainly toasty, I'll give it that. Well, you know, these gullies, that looks like a cannonball. It's dropped out of the cliff. Oh, well, truly stuck. Oh yeah, it's an old cannonball. Wow. Could there be an Eleganticeras inside this one? I wonder. Let's find a suitable place to give it a bash. I'm looking for a nice little crevice that isn't full of water, because usually when I do that and it's full of water, it splashes me in the face. So I'm going to hit it about there, I think. Ready? Oh, look at that beastie! Yes! So that's a lovely split, and it's a lovely ammonite as well. So it won't polish, but that is a lovely Eleganticeras. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Look at that. What a split! Yay! Happy days, as some people would say. I'm going to have to invent my own catchphrase, aren't I? Maybe it should just be fossiliferous, but maybe not. Alright, back to fossil hunting. Oh, you can tell we're in the jet rock zone. It's always smells of petrol. Quite often some of the ammonites are filled with oil as well. So yeah, you quite often find like Eleganticeras will be oil filled. Yeah, certain lias just yeah, filled with oil. I guess this is the kind of shale you'd extract fossil fuels from. Although I think I prefer just to extract fossils. Right, so nothing from the jet rock. We now reach the grey shales, and yeah, top of the grey shales is the semisolarium zone, and then after that it's the tenuicostatums. So we're getting near to the boundary. So the boundary starts at the bottom of the grey shales. So yeah, just have a flick through here, see if we can see anything. So let's kick this nodule over, and there's the remains of a semisolarium ammonite. So they are quite sticky. Someone split it and it's not gone well. That's had a bit of a Eleganticeras in it by the looks of it, from probably further up the cliff. Yeah, it's definitely the grey shales here. So we are going down the lias, which is where we want to be. I just picked this one up. You can see there it's had quite a lot of gracile ammonites in there. So that's Dactylioceras gracile, and this is a piece of again piece of jet rock, dogger cannonball. There's one there. There could even be some inside, but impossible really to split. Nice to just see as it is. Alright, so we're literally just reaching the base of the grey shales. See, we start getting this orangey coloured material. So At the bottom of the grey shales you start seeing these bands of nodules. They're quite red siderite. You can find rare ammonites in these apparently. I think it's Protogramocerus and possibly Lipocerus as well. But yeah, so you can see the nodule layers, red bands. Yeah, very rare you see anything in those nodules, and they're extremely hard. So this tells you coming to the base of the grey shales. And then we hit the upper Pliensbachian as soon as we start seeing Pleurocerus imprints, which they all look to be covered up with this shaly stuff. But the actual boundary I think is here, so oh, there we go. So you can just about make out there, that's a Pleurocerus ammonite. See this red stuff, I think siderite, different type of iron compound. Must have been lots of iron in the seas. See another faint imprint there. And another one there, look. So yeah, nothing to collect, but yeah, this is the boundary. So what's the significance, I hear you ask? So each boundary, so between the Pliensbachian and the Tuarcian, for example, is an extinction event, or likely to be a deoxygenation event in the sea where there's a mass die-off. It does seem to be true that between the more fossiliferous beds of the Pliensbachian and of the Tuarcian, there's a big gap. So Pleurocerus oscarense, which is the ones we see in this material, they're really probably with the last gasp before dying off. And then we see the nodule layers where there's very few nodules in, very few ammonites in those nodules. 8 layers of those before we finally hit the Tuarcian, and then we start seeing Tenucostatums, which are obviously very plentiful. So kind of does support, I think, the fact there probably was a mass die-off, and it took probably a million or so years for life to get back on its feet in the oceans. So it is quite interesting. So yeah, welcome to the mass extinction event, because that's basically what this was. And it's a very big change as well. So we start seeing this red stuff, which is extremely hard. In fact, platforms of this at Kettleness. There's another one there, wearing out. Platforms of this at Kettleness, you know, stretch out for, yeah, hundreds of metres. So yeah, I'm guessing the seabed just covered with this stuff, probably because of lack of oxygen. Species die off, and then a few of them held on to then suddenly become very populous. So I hope you found that interesting. So not many fossils this time. It is summer, but then just give you an idea of where the ammonites come from certain layers. So yeah, and if you go up the cliff, between the base of the cliff here and the top, you've got pretty much every subzone to the sandstone, which is non-continuous anyway. So yeah, probably at that point we were very shallow, beachy sea or above sea level. Yeah, so it's Pleurocerus oscarense zone, and then we go into the Tenucostatum zone and the Semicellatum, in the grey shales, and then we're into the falciparum zone of the jet rock, and then we get the eleganticerus, harpocerus, clavicerus, and then we hit the bifron zone, where we get the dactyliocerus and hildocerus ammonites, pseudoliocerus. Yeah. So within quite a short section, get these layers. I say, I always find it interesting